there's not much left to say. You know, like you said, it's just gotta keep going. Season's not gonna get canceled. 7 more games left. We got a lot of ball left. Just get better every week. But yeah, I'm not gonna sit up here and say all the positive things that came out of it. There's not much out of today. Got our butt kicked. Didn't look good all the way around. So where you go from here is just keep going to work. Everybody stay together. Keep fighting. I know I will. I'm never gonna quit. I know we got enough guys to turn this thing around, and it's up to us. We got to make that decision. So just got to keep working.
You guys clicked on this video expecting a Trevor Lawrence is a draft bust video, didn't you? Well, as you could tell from the fact that this video has no dislikes whatsoever, that's not what we're talking about here today. As a matter of fact, it's something that's a little bit more creepy than that. It's something that I'm a bit more terrified of, because you never want to hear a coaching staff say this about, I don't know, probably the most transcendent prospect since the days of Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning before him, which we're going to draw some parallels there as well, so don't worry. Now, I have something really exciting to admit to you guys, man. You know how I drop like a documentary every 2 weeks? Well, if you join our channel membership program, it's like something like $1.99 a month. You now get previews and early access to those documentaries. We also dropped casual merchandise, so you could purchase this hoodie for any one of your friends that already is calling Trevor Lawrence a bust. Or you could buy some for a potential sports analyst that won't admit he's a bust. It's up to you. Just go to mikerophone.org, or you could go on my Instagram account, because these bad boys are going to be taken off the moment Black Friday ends. Now that we get all that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? One of the #1 arguments for Trevor Lawrence being a great prospect in the future is this comparison that everyone loves to make towards Peyton Manning. And I want you to know, I'm not here calling Trevor Lawrence a bust. I think you should give a quarterback at least 2 to 3 years to at least see an upward trend before jumping on the bust train. You also should take a look at his supporting cast around him and whether or not he's being placed in a good position to succeed. We always use the example of Ryan Tannehill on the Miami Dolphins, then going to the Tennessee Titans as the perfect example of a quarterback just needing the right situation in order to play to their best of their potential, or just a quarterback that doesn't need Adam Gase or Joe Philbin as their head coach. The same argument was kind of made for the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season for the Carolina Panthers when Sam Darnold actually looked like a good QB, but I digress. Throughout 10 games of Trevor Lawrence's career so far, the man has thrown for 8 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 2,141 yards, and has a 58% completion percentage. The Jacksonville Jaguars are also 2-8 at the time that I'm recording this. Now, bear in mind that the Jacksonville Jaguars also have a plethora of other issues. For example, they have a rookie head coach in Urban Meyer, who already was in a very controversial situation earlier this year. I would mention the situation that he was put in, but I don't want this video to get demonetized. We get enough of those. But so far, the man has a passer rating of 72, has a QBR of 35, and a completion percentage of 58% is absolutely horrible. Now, to draw a nice little parallel for you, when the Indianapolis Colts drafted Peyton Manning, he went throughout the entirety of his first season. He only won 3 games, had 13 losses, completed 57% of his passes, threw for 26 touchdowns to 28 interceptions, and had a 71.2 passer rating. But here's something most people won't tell you. Throughout his first 10 games, Peyton Manning threw for 15 touchdowns and 20 interceptions. And based off of my basic advanced calculus over here, we could tell that Peyton Manning was able to finish the season with 11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So Peyton Manning did improve as the year went on, and Peyton Manning was pretty much on the equivalent of the Jacksonville Jaguars for his time. Yes, I know you probably respect the Indianapolis Colts a little bit, partially due to Jonathan Taylor, partially due to Pat McAfee, but back in those times, the Indianapolis Colts were an absolute laughingstock looking for their QB, and Peyton Manning came in and restored that franchise to glory. And well, if there's something that Trevor Lawrence could do that Peyton Manning never was able to do, is he has this remarkable ability to also scramble, and that's where we have a bit of a problem. You see, Trevor Lawrence so far this year has rushed 40 times for 192 yards, 2 touchdowns, which is enough for 4 yards per carry. Now, there's obviously pros and cons to having a dual threat quarterback. Now, obviously, I don't look at Trevor Lawrence and instantly think, hey, this guy is a run-first QB, because Trevor Lawrence was known to be a bit of a jack of all trades coming out of Clemson. As a matter of fact, I kind of think of running as his more secondary skill, but that's what's causing some problems with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm not kidding, they are actually having problems with how multi-dimensional Trevor Lawrence has been so far. And this is just not really a good look for a head coach or a team to admit. So this comes from a very credible source, and that's my man Jason La Canfora. So according to this article opens with Trevor Lawrence, the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, who has shined at every level since he started playing football, is having a rough rookie season with the Jacksonville Jaguars. With his development and how to best bring him along, the subject of strong debate within that organization, sources said. Now, things came to a head last week, with Trevor Lawrence being overwhelmed by the Indianapolis Colts, with Indianapolis's zone-heavy scheme exposing difficulties that have existed in their offense all season. There's been back and forth on the staff about how much to rely on the system Lawrence ran during his wildly successful stint at Clemson, with some raising significant concerns about the injury risks that could come with it, sources said. So you might be wondering, okay, this is fairly vague. How is the Clemson offense an injury risk for Trevor Lawrence? Well, take a look at this, man. At a time when Trevor Lawrence is struggling to diagnose defenses and read through his progressions, sources said that head coach Urban Meyer and others have considered going with more of the simplified RPOs, that's run pass options, that fueled the Clemson offense. Lawrence rushed for nearly 800 yards and 17 TDs in his final 2 years in college, but the bigger and faster NFL defenders pose a significant injury risk, and the Bengals' reluctance on empty sets and the agility of 2019 first overall pick Joe Burrow is a cautionary tale that has others within that organization pushing back on a collegiate approach. So pretty much what's new in the NFL. They didn't do this before, but it's something that they are doing more recently just so they could get young quarterbacks and rookie quarterbacks more acclimated to the NFL, potentially build their confidence, and eventually substitute out those college plays they ran for more current modern NFL plays that they are running. And honestly, to a specific extent, some of this may never go away. Some quarterbacks get really freaking lucky. You look at Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals, they're running a college scheme. It was considered to be a huge science experiment, but Cliff Kingsbury brought his air raid offense from the NCAA to the Arizona Cardinals, and they've been on an upward trend year after year. Now, of course, they're a very talented team, and Kyler Murray's a very talented player, but I'm sure not really having to digress from a very college-oriented offense really helped him develop right away and hit the ground running. Now, the article continues by saying, suffice to say, Lawrence's development is paramount for the entire organization, which has not had strong quarterback play since their expansion years under Mark Brunell, and in Meyer's already controversial rookie year in the NFL would be further marred by any setbacks for the quarterback. At a time when other rookies have taken the league by storm, the Jacksonville Jaguars have yet to unlock Trevor Lawrence. Now, this is true, and again, the Jaguars are a completely different animal of bad, and they still have some pretty decent pieces. They clearly have a great running game with James Robinson, which is why I absolutely destroyed them for drafting Travis Etienne. Hopefully they do something similar to what the Cleveland Browns are doing in Cleveland with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and occasionally to Ernest Johnson when one of those players are out. And Urban, if you're watching this, I'm giving you a huge hint to solve your problems, but I really don't like when casual fans try to compare the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft like Trevor Lawrence, or hell, even Zach Wilson, to a player like Mac Jones, who, yes, I know what you guys are gonna say, Mac Jones didn't have nearly the tools that Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson did. His team was equally as bad, or at least some people would say, but Mac Jones has Bill freaking Belichick as his head coach. He has Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator. Those guys can make any football player look good. And of course, Mac Jones was the most pro-ready prospect coming out of the NFL draft. Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson were considered to be players with higher ceilings. And in this case, it's going to take Trevor Lawrence some more time because he has a rookie head coach. Now, to give you an idea of how bad he was his last game, he was just 3 of 14 for 36 yards in the first half against the Colts. He finished the game 16 of 35 for just 162 yards. While it's not uncommon for even the highest regarded rookie QBs to struggle, such as Peyton Manning, Lawrence has not been advancing as the season goes on, despite getting the benefit from one of the best rushing attacks in football. He is still working to read defenses and get through his progressions, and ranks 29th in the NFL against zone defense. defenses clustered with the likes of Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, and Sam Darnold, with 2 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a rating of 77.9. Not surprisingly, he is facing zone looks on 71% of his dropbacks. Making adjustments to the blitz has also been a problem for him and the Jaguars as well. Lawrence ranks 32nd in the NFL when he's blitzed, completing just 44% of his passes with a rating of 54.9. The scope of the offense is constricting, with Lawrence relying almost exclusively on running backs and tight ends in the passing game lately, with receivers not getting the ball since veteran Marvin Jones went down. So this is to be expected. Of course, if Trevor Lawrence is struggling against the blitz and against zone, then obviously that's what he's probably going to be facing for the most part. But here's where things get really scary, because the way this article ends would honestly terrify me if I'm a Jaguars fan. It ends by saying, furthermore, there's been tension and turmoil within the staff since the offseason, with Urban Meyer repeatedly making his displeasure with many position coaches known, often in front of players. Sources said it is inevitable that changes are coming to the staff next season, with running backs coach Bernie Parmalee and receivers coach Sanjay Lal often on the receiving end of Meyer's diatribes, and any concerns with Lawrence's development could prove problematic for quarterback coach Brian Schottenheimer as well. Ownership will be closely watching how the rookie fares in the final months of the season. So once again, it is citing the fact that the head coaching staff and the environment for the Jacksonville Jaguars is absolutely toxic. And to be honest, usually whenever you have a rookie head coach that is walking into the NFL and is just full of himself as a result of his accomplishments in the NCAA, you might get a situation like this. But if I am the Jacksonville Jaguars, at this point, if Trevor Lawrence is struggling this badly, I don't see the problem with benching him. And not in a sense to, hey, bench him because he's a bad QB. Bench him so you don't ruin this man's development and confidence moving forward. I mean, benching him could do that anyways, but in the sense that he needs to sit down, study some film, and learn how to beat zone and how to beat the blitz, which is something that I think Trevor is more than capable of doing, because he clearly has the legs to improvise and make plays happen down the field whenever he does get blitzed. But on top of that, I feel like a lot of that has to do with play design. If Trevor Lawrence can't find his wide receivers and can't beat the blitz or zone, then a portion of it could be due to horrible play calling and play design from Urban Meyer and his offensive staff. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars should do about this Trevor Lawrence dilemma? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.